Hi, I'm Gary from New Again. So we're here to talk about your car. We call this part of the service we do accident clean. So there are three kinds of accident clean. One is usually a spillage of something, food. Often it's milk, or it could be something that came out of a shopping basket or shopping bag and it's spilt on your footwell. So that can be cleaned, but sometimes if you leave it for a bit too long it can smell. So some of you will be here because you spilt some milk, for example, and then cleaned it up and then it smells. Now if the smell is bad, that can emit itself onto the other surfaces of the car, or if it's dealt with fairly quickly, then it can mean that we just have to deal with the spillage. So it's not quite as straightforward as some people might think. Sometimes it can be, but if you spilt just 1/4 litre of milk, you don't realise that some of it might have sunk into the pile of the carpet and to the foam below, and sometimes that foam can be quite deep. So what we would do in the initial stages is just clean it, use an extraction machine, and then inject it with a deodorant product and see if that deals with it. Now, for those of you coming a long way, it might be that you decide to leave the car with us, or you might decide to go slightly up on the services we do and have all surfaces cleaned. For those of you who've just bought a car and there is a smell in the car and you're not quite sure where it's coming from, then we can deal with that odour, but it's on the odour section, so you need to go and watch the video on that. Okay, so there's one or two other kinds of accidents people have. Another one is could be paint. Usually it's emulsion these days, but it doesn't mean that it's easy to clean. It's often easier to clean when it's still wet, and people make the mistake of trying to clean it, and I'm guessing you've already done that and you're getting a bit of a mess with it, and then it starts to dry. So here's some advice for you. You need to get some wet towels and cover it. Treat it a little bit like you've got the paintbrush itself, and you're going to put it in the water overnight, and you're going to stop the air getting to the brush, and then in the morning you can clean it and use it and repaint. The same principles apply when you're talking about a spillage. Now most of them end up on a footwell or in the boot somewhere. What you can do is get a big wet towel, and I mean wet, really soak it, an old towel you're prepared to sacrifice, and cover up all the painted areas. Now if there's a few marks that you've done inadvertently, you've kind of decided to try and clean it, there's a bit on the back of the seat, a little bit on the headrest, they're the bits you need to spend some time on. You need either a little toothbrush or a microfiber cloth and a hot bucket of water and soap, and clean those bits. Now it might be that then you can get the car to us with your towel on, and then we can clean it and extract it and make it new again. Okay, so that kind of paint spillage one is one that we need to get to and react fairly quickly. Right, another kind of spillage or accident clean you can have on the interior of the car is somebody might have been sick. Not very nice, but we do deal with problems like that, or other unsavoury problems can be dealt with. Again, they need to be dealt with quickly. Okay, another accident clean can be that somebody may have been sick or been ill, and it's another one that needs to be dealt with fairly quickly. What I would suggest is give us a call and we'll talk you through it, but basically it's all going to need to be cleaned and extracted, and it's similar to the milk. It can be similar to the milk problem. You have to extract it out of the carpet, and there has been instances where you need to remove a seat or remove part of the car. The milk can be the same. If you've gone down a gap in a seat, then sometimes you really, you've got to get the car apart to get to the problem. Well, the most expensive job we did was on some motorhomes, which were in a building up in Newark, and the building was on fire, and there was 3 motorhomes, and 2 of them we had to do. They just got smothered in soot from front to back. It was a massive job, and it was for an insurance company who persuaded us to do it. And I was involved in that. Obviously I'm very good at dealing with these things, and I had to go up, and we stayed at a hotel, and they took 2 or 3 weeks to do. Obviously that was a big job. There was soot everywhere, and yes, we got to the bottom of it, and they were brilliant. They came out great in the end. Another one we did, which was probably arguably the most expensive individual car, which was the car itself's value was around about 200,000. It was a newish car. It was driven out of a building, out of the garage, by the fireman whilst the front of it was on fire, and the house was on fire as well, by the way. And it came to us with all the grill all burnt and everything else. We had it for 2 or 3 weeks, and yes, we managed to deodorise it and completely get rid of every bit of soot, including the full underneath and everything else. So it had to be lifted up in the air, and we had to be stripped underneath, and then it went to a place where they removed all the grill and the front of the engine and all the plastic bits, and we cleaned and deodorised the entire thing. That was probably the single most biggest job we did in deodorising. There's one more. Well, I don't know whether I ought to say, but this is quite a funny one in a lot of ways, because it's a lot of years ago, so I don't suppose anyone's going to be particularly hurt by the story. There was a swan went straight through the windscreen of a car that we think arguably was doing 70 miles an hour, but it went right through the centre of the screen and hit the back seat and exploded, and needless to say that it was in a mess. So the driver and the passenger survived fine. The swan went through the middle, and there was just horrible. But you know, we managed to send that back without a single tiny even mark on it. But the whole car had to be taken to pieces. Just to give you an idea of how much debris was in it, you could lift the boot spare wheel, the carpet bit, and there was gunk under there, actually under there. So the swans hit the back seat. Can you imagine what kind of explosion that must have been for the gunk to be under the back on the spare wheel? It was awful. But you know, we don't do so many of those these days. I mean, we have to draw the line somewhere. But we do like a challenge, and you know, I suppose that's probably among the most challenging ones we've ever done. And we did it, and it came out great. Amazing.